It uses 3 strings and gets across them quickly. So it's one note on the top string, which is picked with an upstroke, then a downstroke on the next string, followed by 2 pull-offs, and then one last note on the 3rd string. Now I'm stopping in between so you can learn
absorb
it, but when I actually play it, I'll tend to loop it. Now it's 5 notes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, which is a weird number. You don't hear 5s in music a lot.
No.
But if I keep playing it faster and faster, you begin to hear a pulse, and you can lock that pulse into a normal groove. You know. So let's see if you have that tempo.
Yeah.
And that's really important with your fast licks, that they can fit in some kind of tempo and some kind of groove. Otherwise, it's not musical.
No.
It's got to be musical.
Well, the other thing I would say is sometimes, I might be wrong about this, but you know, there's certain jazz musicians like people like Wayne Shorter who they have like a, you know, they float over the time. They maybe have 2 or 4 bars, and they know. To me, it's not necessarily they know where it starts, and I sometimes hear that when you're doing the kind of pull-off and picking combinations around the blues stuff. Sometimes it seems to me it's like you know where that 4 bars is going to start, and you know where that 4 bars is going to end, and what happens in the middle is, you know.
That can work too, but
see, I think in your playing it creates a sense of excitement.
Oh, well, thank you.
That you don't exactly know what's going to happen.
Maybe the reason I emphasize the timing so much is from teaching.
Yeah.
And from seeing that a global weakness of guitar players in general is that when they're playing out of time, it's usually not because they want to, but because they can't lock in if they try.
Yeah.
So I'm always, you know, I've got the students in mind going, you must lock into the groove. You know, after you do that, you know, then after you've got the ability to lock in, then you can, you know, go free form a little bit.
But I saw an instructional thing that you did once, and there was a great little lesson, and I wondered if you could talk about it quickly, where you talk about playing your own groove, and you actually set up a groove yourself and then started to put fills in between, but the fills didn't go on long enough where you could really had a chance to go out, which you could obviously play for as long as you wanted, but I felt that the lesson was to people was that if you play the groove and then just maybe play like a little bit of lead and then come back, it's you know, maybe you could give us an example of something like that.
Well, guitar players are notorious for letting the drummer take care of the tempo and the groove while we just sort of float around and go, you know. You know, just sort of play whatever. So if you can play a solo and still, without the drums, let the audience, you know, sort of keep the rhythm going in the listener's ear. You know, so if I do a solo and I go like, you know, I think you can you can tell what the tempo is. You know? And it changes the way you play. I mean, I tend to play a little bit slower like that, you know, because it's easier to lock in the groove if you've got some strong 8th notes. But certainly you can play 16th note triplets and stuff too. You know, if you do the same tempo, 1, 2, 3, 4.
Very nice.
But just thinking about the rhythm intellectually, to me, is a useful exercise. Even if you take one note and just go, I mean, I'm bending it to make it stylish, but you know, that's just 16th notes.
Yeah.
When people think of 16th notes, they usually think the note has to change. It has to be going or something. But if you just go, you know. That can be really expressive, going, you know, almost like a drummer.
Yeah, or like a wah-wah pedal or something. That 16th note triplet lick that you very first played at the start of that solo, could you show us that?
Oh, sure. That's all pentatonic, but of course pentatonic is typically played 2 notes per string. But I did a 3 note per string, like a wider stretch, and then down to the lower string, the B string, and back up. That's basically the lick. Let me see. And I think I went just to the lower step in pentatonic. You have to change your fingering a little bit, but it's always the same pentatonic notes. Let's see. Then we got. That's a tricky one because you have that little shape in there. So. Now, even slow, you can hear the.
Oh, absolutely! Yeah, it's very percussive.
Yeah, it's very. You can hear the accents in it, and I love licks like that.
You play some drums as well.
I do.
I've seen you.
But I'm not. I fired myself. I tried to play on my first album, but I wasn't good enough, so I kicked myself out of the band.
No,